study after study proves that music enhances all types of learning, not just musical learning.
Listen to the bird sweet chirping with his bird feet, perched upon his bird feet, waiting for his bird treat.
So that is our granddaughter Alice, and our daughter Kathy. Kathy teaches Suzuki violin, and Alice was playing a song about a birdie and a worm, and so the worm was why she said, ew. Tom Barnes, writer for the National Federation of Music Teachers, refers to a recent study performed at the University of Vermont. The brains of 232 children ages 6 to 18 were scanned to determine the effects of regular music lessons and practice. For years, brain changes have been studied in people with anxiety, depression, and attention issues, but this study at the university wanted to know the effect a positive skill like music might have on the brain's cortical structure. It was observable in these brain scans that the children with regular exposure to music lessons had increased cortical thickness in areas of the brain affecting the completion of tasks, a working memory, and organizational skills. The study implies that these children could, in general, complete tasks in a more well-rounded fashion, in a less tense or anxious way. And other studies have shown a correlation between a higher GPA and the study of music, and better grades specifically in language arts and in math. Although I don't consider myself a scientist gathering data, I have observed through musical development in my own piano students certain skills. Over time, people who take music lessons have the potential to develop the following: the ability to translate musical notation into sound, the skill of producing a pleasing tone using the back, shoulder, arm, wrist, hand, and finger muscles. That's specifically piano, but obviously other muscles are involved, other muscle groups in other instruments. The ability to interpret, learn, and remember a series of impulses or movements which bring a piece of music to life. The art of patience and forgiveness, to allow yourself to make mistakes and to allow other people to make mistakes and just to try again. The skill of managing time wisely, to set and achieve personal goals within the framework of our day-to-day responsibilities. I mean, none of us really have the time to practice piano. We make the time, and it's a personal choice to do so. And the ability to perform a work of art, successfully interacting with an audience, having prepared in solitude. And I think that that is something that is very unique to piano and music, that you spend hours alone with your instrument and then you perform. And there are just so many, there are not a lot of activities, I think, that our children do that allow that skill to develop. I wanted to open it up, a question to all of you. Can you think of other skills other than this list of things? The ability to perform a work of art, to manage time wisely, the art of patience and forgiveness, to remember a series of movements, in completing a piece of music, the skill of producing a pleasant tone, a good tone of the piano. I mean, anything else? Does anything else? Laura?
Perseverance.
Perseverance.
Yes.
Yes.
Self-confidence.
Self-discipline.
Self-discipline.
Yeah.
And self-confidence.
It's a nice way to have self-confidence when you get up and you do well in a recital. Like makes you feel like I can do this.
Problem solving.
Yes, problem solving. That's really good.
A similar activity, but it doesn't have the physical component as much, would be giving a speech. One of my students' parents was saying some of the same things and said that this is similar because you prepare individually and you are on your own when you're actually delivering it.
You are. That's very true. That's very true. And I think a lot of times I talk about giving a speech when I'm helping a student communicate a piece of music. That we're definitely communicating phrase by phrase musical sentences to people. So,
Concentration.
concentration, yeah, at the moment when you're performing. Intense concentration, really. Okay, those are good points. So this is my brother Ray, and in many ways he was sort of the inspiration to turn out this book because he became ill with multiple sclerosis, began to manifest symptoms back in 2006, and so gradually he lost the ability to play and really to do much of anything. And but those points that I just made are so true of his playing, that intense concentration, to be able to really pour your emotions into a piece of music. I wanted to play this next piece because I've grown accustomed to her face. It's from the Broadway show. But he does this very long introduction and plays through the piece one time. So I just kind of wanted you to hear how he structured this.
That's a priceless picture. How old is he in that picture?
He's about 43 in that picture.
Very young.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, originally when I knew I was going to do these presentations with this song, I thought it would be nice to just learn to play that particular arrangement by listening and studying it. And then I thought, well, I could maybe learn note by note, measure by measure to play it, but it would never sound the same as when he did it. And every time he played that piece, I'm sure he played it differently. Because music, and especially improvised music, is such a living, breathing thing. Every performance is unique. And so...
I'm sorry my phone interrupted you, because that felt like kind of a sacred moment, and I feel very sad that it interrupted. My son, I've told one of my son, Jim, thinks that he was the best jazz pianist that came out of St. Louis. Jim just really respects him so much. Jim plays trombone and piano, but he really respects Ray's
I
piano
didn't know he
playing.
played piano.
No, piano and trombone, yeah.
Well, there was a concert at the Sheldon. John Pizzarelli came to town right after Ray died, and he did a tribute concert for Ray. And they hired a piano player who listened to all of my brother's solos, and he was sitting there on the stage playing these, arrangements, the piano solos within the trio, and I was sitting there thinking, wow, this is surreal, because it isn't my brother, and definitely it didn't sound like my brother. And that's again an example that when each person does music, performs music, it's a unique event. And that's what's so wonderful about music. Sir Malcolm Arnold, a British composer, said that music is the social act of communication among people. The social act of communication among people. A gesture of friendship, the strongest there is. And throughout my life, I have known this to be true. My dad, who owned a music store in Maplewood, knew so many people. And as a result, his friends became my family's friends, and even musical mentors. And the musicians that he knew mentored my brothers, throughout their lives. Years after the music store closed, both my brothers traveled the world making music. And even though I've never considered myself a jazz artist, their fans and musical colleagues always welcomed me into their circles. I never know also when I might run into a former student or a member of one of the churches where I've worked. These are friendships and bonds that last a lifetime. And when our students decide to take music lessons, we want to remember that they're automatically entering this brotherhood, this supportive, nurturing musical community that transcends age, musical styles, and cultures. So here's another Bach piece. Another Bach and jazz piece. My brother's recording. So that's my presentation. So, any questions or any comments about music in general, or?
I have a question.
Yeah.
How long did he work with her, Fury? How long did he study with him? Because he's my teacher.
That's right. Well, early on, Herb brought Ray and Tom into the clubs where he performed and gave them the stage, basically. When my dad would, call and say, "Oh, can I bring the boys over?" And then they would perform. And I don't know, as far as formal lessons, exactly how long that was. But I mean, throughout Ray's life, he just had tremendous